going to bring to the stage our third couple. I'm excited about this. We have Whitney and David Kays. So we'll tell you about them, and then they will go. And so let me tell you about Whitney first. Whitney is the Director of Service Innovation at Mattingly Edge, where they cultivate partnerships that enable people with disabilities to thrive at work, at home, and in relationships. When she's not working, she can be seen driving around town in her swagger wagon, carting her 3 kids to various sporting events. She's been married to David for 13 years, but includes the day they met as an important anniversary to celebrate, so 18 years. She also enjoys playing kickball, binging Lucifer on Netflix. Bringing Lucifer with her everywhere.
It sounds like a pet.
It's kind of beautiful. If that's your religion, that's okay.
They're big First Amendment people. I like them for that.
And cooking without recipes. David Kays is the building manager for Brown-Forman. His building is more administrative, so he cannot give you alcohol. Oh, well. Wah, wah. When he's not working, he's spending quality time with his family. He's been married to Whitney Kays for 13 years, but does not consider the day they met as an anniversary. Also, another fight that they have. He also enjoys playing basketball with other 30-somethings, occasionally getting ejected from said basketball games, drawing and playing video games. So let's give them a round of applause before we get into that.
Woo! And this couple has eschewed the coin toss, and Whitney would like to go first. And Whitney, we're little people, so feel free to adjust the mic.
Yeah, we're big people.
We will tailor this to you. That's the kind of information.
Okay. We're big and we breed big, so.
Good.
All right, so our fight has to do with when we first met, all right? Clearly I'm right. Anyway, but it goes all the way back to Valentine's Day of 2002. Now, you're probably thinking, holy shit, what did he do that was so bad? Because this was the day that I decided I was done with men forever. Now, it actually wasn't Dave because we actually hadn't met yet. But on this day, I decided to go on a blind date. So I had gone about a year or so doing what I would call some speed dating. And I had decided that, I had a type. Tall, muscular, like the football type. And after a year of not having very much success, I decided I was going to kind of go on the complete opposite end. And I decided to say yes on this blind date with a guy that was the complete opposite of me. He's a little bit shorter than me, he's really skinny, and he was a med student. So he took me out to go see the vagina monologues on Valentine's Day. Now, if you know me at all, you know that going to see the vagina monologues is really not that big of a deal. It was a really great performance. But my date spent the entire play turning and whispering in my ear saying, "It's not awkward, I'm a doctor." So it was awkward. And so I go home and I said, that's it, I'm done. Fuck men and their stupid shit. I'm done with it. It's time to focus on me, and happy Valentine's Day to me. So a few days later, my girls and I decided we're gonna go out to the club. And we were gonna go and have a great time. We were gonna have all these guys buy us all these drinks, but we were not gonna go home with them because that is not what we were gonna do because we don't need them anymore. So I did what anybody would do, and I got dressed up in my sluttiest outfit. And I had on this tight red skirt and this backless red shirt. And I went into the club feeling more confident than I ever had been. Now, mind you, this is pre-kids. My body was banging at that point. And so in Lexington, we go into Varsity Blue. After the first round was bought, I kind of looked over in the corner and I saw this guy there. And now, I know I said that, fuck guys and all that shit, but this guy was like everything that I had ever dreamed of. He was taller than me, he had these broad shoulders, and he had a jawline that made me wink in the knees. So I went over to a table, and I positioned myself so I could kind of see him. And it was at this point that I realized that he was actually a bouncer there. No, this is the college version of a man in uniform. So, so I sat there and watched him, and I got all my girls to kind of be like, ooh, look how cute he is. And eventually I get my friend Sarah to kind of be my wingman. And we start dancing and had my drink in my hand, and I was looking so cute. And I talked her into going over, and she went over there, and she told him how I thought he was so cute. She came back, and we giggled a little bit. And we spent the rest of the evening just making eye contact back and forth. And I was trying to figure out the right way to kind of like seal the deal. Meanwhile, he is also staring at me. He's walking laps, and no matter where I am, there he is. And clearly he was trying to find any excuse possible to be around me. Who could blame him, right? So we decided, at the end of the night, it was last call. My other friend, Sarah, two Sarahs, same story, she comes over, and I'm like, look at this hot bouncer. And she said, who, Dave? I was like, shut up. You know him? And she goes on to tell me that Dave is the roommate of her boyfriend, Jamie. So she took me by the hand and took me over there to introduce us. And at the end of the night, they called last call. And so I took a pen in my hand with a little bit of liquid courage on my liver. I walked over to him, and he was up on the stage, and he had what I call his best bouncer face. So he does this thing where he goes like this. And his neck looks real big, and he looks very serious. And so I walked over, and I grabbed his arm, and I wrote my phone number on his arm. I didn't say a word. And I walked away, and I never looked back. It was really smooth. It was really smooth. I go home, get out of my slut clothes, and my phone rings. Guess who it is? He called me that night, and he asked me to come over and hang out with his friend and his girlfriend and all that. And so I did. And so 18 years later, 3 kids later, he has become my everything. But we still fight about who was more desperate than the other one. It was him. Thank you.
I have never in my life been cool enough to write my phone number. I would write the wrong phone numbers. I'm like, God, you're a goddess. I can't do things like that. All right, so you've heard the first part of the story. Now it's time for the second half of this story. Please welcome David Kays.
So very quickly, you will tell who the storyteller in the family is. It's clearly not me. So I will rewind a little bit before Valentine's Day. Some fraternity brothers and I were sitting around, hungry, broke, as most, college students are, and we were thinking, hey, there's a girls' basketball game going on, and they give away free pizza and admission's free. Let's go eat and watch some basketball. So we're like, okay, cool. So we're sitting in the stands. We have our free pizza. We're eating, watching Kentucky get completely destroyed at that time. And I happen to look down, and I see this tall girl, curly hair, just built to the nines. And I was just thinking, I was like, wow. Like, who is that? But, being a guy, I had to play it, I was with my friends. She was with her friends. There's no way I could go talk to her. So I didn't. And time went on. Fast forward, I'm working at Varsity Blue as a bouncer. I'm up on the stage, bouncer face. I'm trying. That face was 20 some years ago, okay? I don't have it now. So I'm trying to do this. All of a sudden, we start getting people in, and I see this girl walk in. Hair's not curly. Her hair is straight at this point. Hair is straight at this point. So I'm thinking, is that the same girl? I don't know. So I do my normal bouncer stuff. I've clearly noticed her by now. I'm making my rounds, as I'm supposed to do, getting bottles off tables, making sure everything's cleaned up and safe. That's my job, is making sure everyone's safe and having a good time. So I'm back up on stage, and I notice her little redheaded sidekick. It's kind of like pointing at her. Hey, look, right here. You. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is she trying to get my, she's getting my attention. I wasn't very confident in college, all right? I didn't have a very good track record with girls. I didn't go on a lot of dates at all. So I'm thinking, I'm like, oh God, Dave, as this is happening, don't fuck it up. So I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, so this might happen. So I start getting a little closer to their table, maybe, testing the waters, seeing what's going on. Finally, I make some more rounds. The night goes on and progresses. Her little friend comes up to me. I'm on the stage doing my bouncer face. Her little friend comes up and says, hey, my friend down there thinks you're cute. She thinks you're pretty hot. I was like, oh, me? I was like, oh, God. I was like, what do I do? Palms are getting sweaty. I'm like, all right. Again, Dave, don't fuck this up. You get one shot. You get one chance at this. So I'm like, all right, listen. I can't leave the stage right now. Totally could have, obviously. It's like, I can't leave the stage right now. If your friend wants to come up and talk to me, she's more than welcome to come up here and talk, but I cannot leave. Stage is important. The stage was like the highlight of where you wanted to be posted at that night as being about the bouncer post. That's where everything happened. You could see everything. Everybody could see you. So that's where you wanted to be. So she's like, all right. So the night goes on. Last call happens. All of a sudden, here she comes. She comes up, writes her number on my forearm. I was thinking, oh my God, this just happened. It's like, yeah, I have arrived. Yes. It's like, this has never happened to me before. So the night ends at the bar. I go home, and my roommate and his girlfriend were there, which she got that right. They didn't know each other. And I was like, this girl wrote her number on my arm. She's like, oh, Whitney, yeah, I know her. I was like, really? She's like, you want her to come over? I was like, yeah, of course I do. So I was like, but I'm not calling her. I was like, you call her, see if she wants to come over. So I had her friend, Sarah, different Sarah, call her. All of a sudden, it seemed like it had to have been only 5 minutes. She was at my door. And so, when I saw her I saw her at the basketball game, I was like, wow, that was really it. And then it wasn't until we were talking later that we found out that she had seen me that day too, at the basketball game. And then afterward, after we had started talking, we talked that night. She went home, and then after that, we started dating, and 18 years later and 3 kids, she's still my wow. And that is the real story of how we met.
Okay, give it up for David and Whitney Kays.
I had to lower this mic so much just to talk like a normal person. I guess we're voting on who was hornier that night? Is that what we're doing? Right? Because that's what it sounded like to me as an audience member. Who was a little bit more desperate that night? It was one of them. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you thought the person who was hornier that night was Whitney, let's give it up. Girls just want to have fun. If you thought the one who was hornier that night was Cool Dude Bouncer Dave, give it up. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Whitney Kays.